Thanks, everyone. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I have regrets by our chair, Jano Lieber, who got double booked with something very important, but he would love to be here. We were here celebrating the full accessibility of Queensboro Plaza Station a few months back, and he never likes to miss one of these things because of our great commitment to accessibility. So we're sorry to miss him today, but we'll get through it. I'm Jamie Torres Springer. I'm president of MTA Construction and Development, joined by MTA Chief Accessibility Officer Quimel Arroyo. Before we begin, we have lots of folks here with us who are doing really important work on accessibility across the MTA. Thank you to our advocates. A few other folks here, the Senior Vice President of Grubb Properties, our partner in adding this accessible entrance, Lauren Cahill, thank you for joining us. The Commissioner and Chair of City Planning, Dan Garodnick, and MTA Board Member Dan Garodnick is here with us. Senator Kristen Gonzalez is here. Thank you for being here, Senator. You're fighting for us in Albany and our interests in Albany, and it's great that we can be here in your community celebrating this. We're all here because accessibility is a major goal for the MTA, and the reality is, with all of the needs that we have in our system, we have to get creative about how we achieve it. So we were here in December when we completed ADA upgrades that made this Queensboro Plaza station for 97,000 riders fully ADA accessible. That project was a $74 million investment. We brought that in on time and on budget. But today, we're back to celebrate another very exciting milestone for the MTA, which is the completion of our first zoning for accessibility project that brings a new accessible entrance to the north side of Queens Boulevard, a redundant entrance that I know my friend Q is very excited about and we'll talk about. Zoning for accessibility was enacted by the City Council in 2021 to create incentives for developers building near transit to incorporate elevators and other station upgrades into their designs. Or they can build the upgrades themselves at no cost to the MTA, which was the case here, saving us millions of dollars. This is a great model. It's truly win-win. What did we get here? 2501 Queens Plaza North includes beautiful new ADA accessible entrance complete with a very wide stair, an elevator at no cost to the taxpayer or the fare payer. The improvement will make a big difference for all the riders who pass through the station every day. It vastly improves the connection to the station at the north side of Queens Boulevard. The redundant elevator gives customers who require a stair-free path of travel a much easier way into the system without having to traverse busy Queens Plaza. And this new development is both commercial and residential, which adds much needed retail space as well as thousands of new housing units, including many income restricted apartments, which is great for the neighborhood and the city. Zoning for accessibility is going to be a great program for transit accessibility improvements in the city. In addition to this project, which is the first one to be completed under this program, 57th Street Station is under construction and will be completed next year. And despite a tough market for residential development the last couple of years since ZFA was passed, we're working with developers to finalize 6 more projects just like this one across the system. We also have 6 easements that will enable us to make stations accessible in the future under the program, and another 8 are almost completed. So that's great progress on ZFA, and we're very proud that this is the first example of a completed project. I want to thank our team from the MTA, particularly lots of people, but Moonsun Park, who's led so much of this out of transit-oriented development, Jeff Reed, and Patricia Fernandez, and Alana Latif out of the External Partners Program, and as well as Kay Sarpong Fried. Thank you, all of you, for the great work that you've done. And our partners from Grubb Properties, their designer, Di Domenico, their contractor, and obviously a big thank you to the New York City Department of City Planning. We'll hear from Chair Garodnick in a minute, but it's really only through this partnership that we're able to accomplish something like this. So thank you, everyone. And with that, I'll pass it on to my friend Quimel Arroyo.
Thank you so much, Jamie. As you heard, my name is Quimel Arroyo, and I have the pleasure to serve as the MTA's first Chief Accessibility Officer. It is truly a joy to be here today celebrating this new entrance, a whole new entrance and elevator, a redundant elevator to the station, made possible by zoning for accessibility. The very first one. And what zoning for accessibility delivers us is an amazing new tool for the MTA to not be the only person at the table creating this vision for accessibility that we've taken on. This is a worthy cause, and it is made possible, as you can see behind me, by a village. It takes a village to do this, from the contractors, the elected officials who help us to get funding and will continue to do so, right? Continue to do so to fund the MTA, to fund all these accessibility projects. And really now we have developers at the table as well, helping us reach our goal of system-wide accessibility much faster than we ever could if we were on our own here at the MTA. This new accessible entrance provides an option for someone coming in or out through this station to not have to traverse 10 lanes of traffic to get here from the other side. But at Long Island City, and many of you know, has become a big destination. It is a hotspot. It is one of the better boroughs. It is the world's borough. And I have been coming to this station since 2004 when I went to an Outward Bound school, New York City Outward Bound headquarters, just up the street, and has the tallest rock climbing wall in all of New York. So I know this neighborhood very well. As this neighborhood has been growing, so have we. The MTA have been growing with this community to deliver the access to transportation that they now demand and need. And accessibility is universal, as you heard me say before. That is why these elevators behind me are bigger than the elevators that we are accustomed to in the system. Because we have parents, this community is thriving, is vibrant with families. We have businesses, JetBlue's right up the street, DOE. So there's a whole suite of people needing access to transportation, access to the station. We are now delivering it with projects like these. This is amazing. This project here in Long Island City, which people remember it as a construction, industrial zone, is now delivering access to everybody who's coming. A lot of tourists coming to here. There's art, there's culture, access to parks, amazing waterfront. This is what access means, giving New Yorkers and all the tourists the means to move around with ease, with grace, and do it on their own time. We're back here. We were here not so long ago, as you heard from Jamie, talking about making this station accessible. Today, we doubled down on that and give people like me and every other New Yorker with access needs a reliable system all the time. This elevator will go down at times for maintenance, and maintenance is part of that accessibility program and requirement. But you'll never have to think about coming to the station and worrying to look at that elevator access, because you'll have that redundancy, that peace of mind, always having access here. I am very proud of all the work that ZFA and the whole team, you already heard Moonshine Park, thank you for all that you do, Moonshine, at Transit Oriented Development. I also want to thank my team, both current and past. Howie, thank you for all your work with TOD and Moonshine from the beginning. But also I wanted to give a shout out to Rachel Cohen, who is here, the new Vice President for Paratransit, who is also part of our ecosystem for accessibility, delivering access to those New Yorkers who cannot ride the train or subway. Thank you, Rachel, for all you deliver. Unas cuantas palabras en español. Estamos aquí en la nueva apertura de este segundo ascensor en esta estación de Queensboro Plaza, dándole a los neoyorquinos, a los turistas, ese acceso que tanto necesitan para poderse mover en esta comunidad. Esta comunidad está creciendo y nosotros en la MTA estamos creciendo con ellas. Estábamos aquí unas cuantas semanas antes celebrando la apertura del primer ascensor, hoy estamos aquí celebrando este segundo y vendremos en unos cuantos meses a celebrar los nuevos ascensores que estamos creando en Court Square. Esta comunidad en total es una prioridad y es un placer estar aquí en Queens. Muchas gracias a todos. Back to you, Jamie.
Thank you, Q. Let me get a few more acknowledgments in before we hear from our developer partner. Dan Wiley's here, representing Congresswoman Nydia Velázquez. Thank you for your support. I believe Julissa Garcia is here, representing Councilmember Julie Wan. We've got Laura Shepard representing our great partner, Queensboro President Donovan Richards. Q mentioned JetBlue is that very important neighborhood anchor. Justin Ginsburg is here representing JetBlue. Thank you for being here. And we obviously thank Assemblymember Zoran Mamdani, whose district this is, who's been a great supporter of our work. And I think Laura Rothrock is here from Long Island City Partnership. There she is, Laura. Thank you to all of you for your support. It takes all of these partners to get a project like this done. With that, we'd like to hear from Lauren Cahill from our development partner.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Lauren Cahill, Senior Vice President from Grub Properties, and I am absolutely delighted to be here on behalf of Grub as we celebrate the opening of this new station, additional elevator and connection to the pedestrian bridge. This is really something that's very meaningful for us because this is something that we really value. We prioritize transit in all our developments. So we're very excited about this seamless connection now to transit because this is something that we prioritize. But also, personally, as a fellow New Yorker who frequently rides the Yellow Line, I am very delighted that this station is opening. I would like to extend my gratitude to the MTA and city planning. We're really grateful that Grub Properties was able to take advantage of the Zoning for Accessibility program. This is actually our first building in New York, and the fact that the subway marks, we thought we were the second one, and I guess that was approved, but here we didn't realize we were the first one that actually was built. So that is quite a milestone, and as I said, transit innovation is something that really is a guiding principle of Grub Properties. We prioritize proximity to transit and the accessibility of transportation options for all our residents across our communities across the country. And the Zoning for Accessibility program really aligns with Grub's mission, so we are really proud to be able to take part of it. Our building, Link Apartments QPN, represents Grub Properties' first building in New York, and it's bringing our vision for attainable, high-quality urban living to one of the city's most vibrant neighborhoods. We are especially proud that 30% of the units are designated affordable, which reinforces Grub's commitment to addressing the city housing needs, especially in light of the current housing shortage. Once again, I would like to thank the MTA and city planning. It's always very fulfilling to see a project at the end come to fruition, but I think it's especially more rewarding when you see how this really serves the community at large. And of course, as you mentioned, it certainly takes a village to design and build in New York City. Literally thousands of people have contributed to this, but I'd like to take a moment specifically to call out our general contractor, Consigli. This is a career first for me. I've never had a project on time and under budget. So the fact that we've done this with the MTA is definitely, I think, a huge accomplishment. But in addition, there's so many people that have touched this project. So I would like to thank our architects, DiDomenico, Handel, all our other consultants, and my colleagues at Grub. This is just everyone has played such a critical role in bringing this project to life. So thank you. And on behalf of Link Apartments QPN, we're deeply grateful for your partnership, and we're just very excited. This is a very exciting milestone for Grub Properties as we open our first building in New York City. So thank you, everyone.
All right, I've been waved forward by the president. Thank you, Jamie. It's great to be here celebrating on this occasion with a wonderful group of city and state leaders, community leaders, development team. My name is Dan Gorodnick, and I am the director of the Department of City Planning and a member of the MTA board. And there could not be a better event to bring those two roles together. We are so excited about this for its own sake, but it also is, as you have heard, the very first project to be completed under the city's Zoning for Accessibility program. Zoning for Accessibility allows for more to happen all around, for more housing to be built, so long as the development also includes improvements just like these. It's a win-win. The city gets more housing, the private sector kicks in the investment, and we get a more accessible subway system in the process. And there's more to come. This policy wisely and directly connects development rights to public transit benefits and builds on the hundreds of millions of dollars that we have been able to deliver to the MTA system as part of the Greater East Midtown rezoning, a plan that I worked on when I was a member of the City Council. We are already looking at ways of improving and expanding this program, Zoning for Accessibility, to create even more opportunities around the city, even more than the ones that Jamie mentioned are already in the works. This is a perfect example of how, when we work together with smart planning tools across city and state agencies, we can deliver tangible benefits for working New Yorkers. I want to thank you, Jamie, and of course, Chair Lieber, and the entire team at the MTA for your dedicated leadership and your great work to keep this system moving forward. Congratulations, everybody, and now I'm very pleased to welcome up State Senator Kristen Gonzalez.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. Good morning. I think it is still good morning. Yes. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kristen Gonzalez. I'm the state senator here. I'm also a neighbor here in Long Island City, and I take the train at the station every single day. We're in district, so it feels very full circle to have the first project under the Zoning for Accessibility campaign to be right here in my home district. And, you know, like many of you, I was born and raised here. I'm a lifelong strap panger, and I've had a lot of feelings about the MTA. I think we've all had. But since taking office, I can say that this MTA, under the leadership of Chair Lieber, has been doing incredible work to make sure that we're serving every single New Yorker. And that's been represented with the improvements, the G train in the Brooklyn side of my district. That's been represented in opening an elevator on the south side of Queensboro Plaza. It's been represented with the 3 new elevators. I believe we're getting at Queens Plaza and the improvements there. And then certainly it's represented in this project right here. And this doesn't come, out of nowhere. I certainly want to recognize that this is the result of not only years of partnership, but of advocacy. And being joined by Kamel and team, but also the advocates that actually had the idea for this project years ago means so much. So I want to give them a big round of applause for doing this work. And then certainly, of course, again, want to thank the MTA, Grub Properties, the in-community Long Island City Partnership advocates that have been here pushing for this. And finally, certainly want to thank the elected officials who have been working together to fund projects like this. We actually just took a bus ride with the governor for congestion pricing. So we've actually been present and taking the transit as elected officials with, along with the MTA. So again, I want to thank everyone who's part of this. And then finally, for those who, are tuning in and learning about what zoning for accessibility is and what the future of the MTA can look like, I really want to send the message to New Yorkers that it's an example of good government. It's an example of what can happen when you have a collaboration across the public and private sectors. And certainly it's what can happen when we listen to the people right here in our neighborhoods and we actually take their feedback in order to implement really important changes that center the most vulnerable and sometimes marginalized amongst us. So this good government is so needed in this specific moment. And again, I am so proud to be able to be a part of this. So thank you again. And I certainly look forward to lugging my big suitcase up in this elevator as I go up to Albany every week. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you for everyone. Thank you all for being here. We're excited to get this thing, this passageway open to the public and take our first ride in this elevator. We'll do that shortly. I think I'm going to hand it off to Ray for a little Q&A before we do that.
Thank you so much, Mr. President, and thank you to our advocacy group as well, our transit advocates who are back there. Thank you guys for your support as well. All right, Mr. President, our first question comes from Andrew Siff from WNBC.
Hello, I have one on topic and one off topic. My on topic question is, I think I heard you say that the zoning for accessibility passed the City Council in 2021. Why did it take 4 years for the first of its kind to open up?
Well, as I said, we've made a lot of progress from zoning for accessibility. It's a brand new program, and what it's dependent on, but this is the genius of it, is new real estate development happening. It's not a secret that new real estate development hasn't been that plentiful in the last couple of years. There were some issues around tax abatements and other support for projects that had to get worked out by the legislature. That's happening now. And as I said, we've got this project complete, another project at 57th Street that is going to make that station fully ADA accessible. In construction will be done by the second quarter of 2026. And we're actively in negotiations with a lot of other developers. I believe I said that there were 8 conversations ongoing, and we've already locked up 6 more easements, which allow us to go back and put an elevator in a new development project. We celebrated an example like that at Delancey Essex Street Station last week, which preceded the zoning for accessibility program, but that's really the model for it. So it's going to be a great success. Takes a little while for things to get going, but we're going to have a lot of accessibility come out of this.
Any more on-topic questions before we get to off-topic? Okay, Andrew, you got it.
Okay. I mean, off-topic is on-topic anyway because it's about congestion pricing, which helps you fund many of these projects throughout the system. The court filing last week seemed to indicate that congestion pricing is going to be on and functioning at least until October. And yet, the US DOT sent us a statement yesterday saying April 20th is the deadline. If you ignore it, you ignore it at your peril, and they're prepared to use every tool in the box to end congestion pricing. So how do you interpret this April 20th deadline, or do you not follow that?
Well, first of all, let's start with congestion pricing is working. It's an extraordinary success. Thank you very much. It is a generational change. Traffic is down. Quality of life is up all across the city. And as you said, Andrew, at Construction and Development, we're already taking advantage of the funds that flow from that to get things moving. We're going to get 23 more stations ADA accessible across this system as a result of that. We're re-signaling 2 major lines. We're making major progress on 2nd Avenue subway. All of this is moving forward because of congestion relief and what it brings. We are confident about our position, as we've said many times, that we are in the right. We have a full authorization from the federal government to proceed in charging the congestion relief charge, and the parties are in court. It's going to work its way through the courts. The parties have agreed in court on a timeline for that, and we're going to observe that timeline. In the meantime, the cameras are staying on.
Okay, Alfonso, do you have a question? Yes. Sure. Alfonso Castillo from Newsday.
Welcome,
Hello, Jamie.
Welcome to Queens.
Yes, thank you for having me. The NYU Marin Institute and our friend Nolan Hicks a couple weeks ago put together a study having to do with electrification. They put out there the idea that the best way to electrify Long Island Railroad's diesel territory in the future is by hanging up overhead catenary wires, switching to an overhead catenary system. He says it'd be more efficient, even though you'd have to buy a new fleet. Can you talk about that? Is that realistic? Is it something that might be on the table?
We're always interested in these studies and suggestions. The most important thing here is, as part of our 25 to 29 capital plan, which is in front of the legislature, I know it's got a lot of support, and we're hoping that it gets wrapped up as part of this budget process very soon. We've committed to pursuing capacity expansions for the railroads. We've talked about a few key spans of the lines that would make sense for a capacity expansion. That gets done through electrification. So through the next capital plan, we'll study and begin to advance some of the design work that's required to do that. And we're looking at we'll always look at all options. There are advantages and disadvantages to the different technologies to provide power to the fleet. You mentioned some of them. You may have a lower upfront capital cost, but you have to buy new rolling stock. You have higher maintenance costs down the road. So we'll look at all of those advantages and disadvantages as we proceed in studying capacity expansion.
All right, Mr. President,
Thanks very
speakers,
much,
thank you
everyone.
so much. Before we let everyone go, we're going to celebrate the opening of this beautiful elevator with a ribbon coming. So let's set that up right now. Stand by.
Can I get one of the ladies?
Oh. If I could have the speaking program here. Senator Q. Let's kind of get over. Well, yes. All right. Mr. President, Ms. Cahill, let's get you guys in front here. Yep. Be careful with those scissors. Dan. Senator Gonzalez, can you come over on this side? Yeah. Very good. Let's give you a pair of scissors. And Miss Cahill. There you go. Okay. All right. We're gonna do a countdown. What first? Let's pose. Let's pose for some pictures first before we cut. Let's look over here at Mark. There we go. Listen. Hold on. Let's look at Mark. Look at Mark. Very good. Very good. Everyone got their pictures? All right. A couple more seconds. Okay. Let's do a countdown here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There it is. All right. Let's take a ride on the elevator for those watching the feed. There will be a B-roll package being played on the elevator. Thank you, everybody.
Station level.